John Mercer stood at the back of the classroom, arms crossed, jaw tight. 30 alien faces turned to stare at him. He was the only human in the room, and they all knew it. "Our newest recruit," announced Commander Vaxtool, his 6 limbs moving in perfect rhythm as he gestured toward John. "A human engineer from Earth Defense Force." John said nothing. The scars on his face told enough stories. The classroom inside Nexus 7 space station hummed with the sound of advanced life support systems. Metal walls reflected the harsh lighting. Through the viewport, the endless black of space reminded everyone how far from home they were. "I did not volunteer," John said finally. His voice was rough, unused to speaking after months of isolation. Vaxtool's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. "None of us volunteered for this war, human. The Vex Dominion does not ask permission before it consumes worlds." The aliens around John represented the best technical minds in the Galactic Coalition. Some had skin like polished chrome, others breathed through specialized masks. One appeared to be made entirely of crystalline structures. "You will all serve together or die separately," Vaxtool continued. "The Coalition needs weapons specialists. Your first test begins now." A compartment opened in the center of the room. Inside were materials from dozens of worlds. "Forge a blade," Vaxtool ordered, "using only materials from your homeworld. You have 6 hours." The aliens moved quickly, selecting exotic metals, energy crystals, and compounds unknown to human science. John stood still, scanning the collection. "Problem, human?" asked a tall, thin alien with skin like blue bark. "Earth materials are primitive by your standards," John replied. The alien made a sound like breaking glass. Laughter. "Perhaps you should return to your mud planet." John spotted what he needed. A small, yellowed piece of bone. He picked it up, felt its weight in his palm. "That is from your world?" asked Vaxtool, suddenly beside him. John nodded. "Human bone." The classroom grew quiet. "My wife's," John added, "from her rib. She died when the Vex hit our colony on Proxima B." No one spoke. Even the aliens understood loss. "The doctors let me keep it," John continued, his voice flat. "Said it might help with closure. I promised to carry her strength with me." Vaxtool studied John with all 4 eyes. "And you would turn her remains into a weapon." "She would understand," John said. "Lisa was a fighter." The aliens returned to their work, whispering among themselves about the barbaric human. John found a workstation in the corner. He laid the bone down carefully and began gathering simple tools. Hours passed. The aliens created marvels of technology, blades that hummed with energy fields, edges sharp at the molecular level, handles that bonded neurologically with their creators. John worked silently, methodically. His hands became raw, then bloody. He used no technology, only pressure, friction, and patience. The bone began to take shape, sharp, deadly. When the others finished, they gathered to watch him work. None spoke. There was something unsettling about the human's focus, about the blood mixing with sweat as he shaped his dead wife's bone. Night cycle began. The aliens left for their quarters. Vaxtool remained, watching. "You should rest, human," he said finally. John didn't look up. Blood dripped from his fingertips onto the workstation. The bone gleamed in the dim light, taking on a deadly edge. "They think I'm primitive," John whispered, not to Vaxtool but to the bone in his hands. "They think humans are weak?" He tested the edge against his thumb. A perfect line of blood appeared. "They'll see what humans can do with nothing," he said, eyes reflecting something that made even Vaxtool step back. "They'll all see." The demonstration hall buzzed with energy as each alien presented their weapon. John stood at the back, bone knife hidden in his palm. His eyes were red from lack of sleep, his hands wrapped in crude bandages. "Zexnar, you're next," called Commander Vaxtool. A tall alien with scaled skin stepped forward. He held up a blade that glowed blue along its edge. Molecular disruptor, Zexnar announced proudly. It can cut through any known armor. Vaxtool nodded and pressed a button. A combat drone dropped from the ceiling. It hovered, scanning the room with red sensors. Its metal shell gleamed under the harsh lights. "Defeat it," Vaxtool ordered. Zexnar moved fast, slashing at the drone. His blade sparked against the drone's shield. He tried again, and again. The drone dodged, fired back. Zexnar fell, his weapon useless against the drone's defenses. One by one, the aliens failed. Some lasted longer than others. None could penetrate the drone's adaptive shields. "Mercer," Vaxtool called finally. "The human." The room went silent as John walked forward. He held only the bone knife, now polished to a deadly shine. "That's it?" someone whispered. "A piece of bone?" John ignored them. He faced the drone, which hovered at eye level. Its sensors focused on him, calculating threat level. "Begin," said Vaxtool. The drone charged. John didn't move until the last second. Then he stepped aside, quick and precise. The drone shot past him. "He's not even trying to fight," said one alien, but John was watching, studying. The drone circled back, weapons ready. "What was your military rank, human?" asked Vaxtool suddenly. "Special Forces," John replied, eyes never leaving the drone. "Combat engineer." The drone attacked again. This time, John moved toward it. The aliens gasped as he let the drone hit him in the shoulder. He grunted in pain but grabbed the drone with his free hand. "Weapons don't win wars," John said through gritted teeth. "Soldiers do." He drove the bone knife into a tiny gap between the drone's shield plates, a gap none of the aliens had seen. The knife slid in deep. The drone sparked, twitched, and fell to the floor. Silence filled the room. "How did you know?" demanded Zexnar. John pulled his knife free. "I watched. All shields have a pattern, a rhythm. Find the gap in the rhythm, you find your way in." The doors at the back of the hall slid open. A tall figure entered, Director Krell, head of the academy. His forearms were clasped behind his back. "Impressive, human," said the director. "Most impressive." John wiped the drone's fluid from his wife's bone. "Just survival, sir." "Come with me," ordered the director. "The rest of you, continue training." John followed the director through long metal corridors. They descended in a private elevator, deeper than John knew the station went. "There's something you need to see," said Director Krell. "Something that concerns Earth." The elevator stopped. The doors opened to reveal a massive command center. Screens showed battles across the galaxy. One screen dominated the center, a live feed of Earth, partially surrounded by Vex ships. "You told us Earth was safe," John said, his voice dangerously quiet. "We told you what you needed to hear," replied the director. "Now you need to see the truth." He led John to a sealed door at the far end of the command center. It hissed open to reveal a laboratory. Inside were rows of cryogenic chambers. Each contained a human body. "What is this?" John demanded. "Your real mission," said the director, "and why we needed someone with your particular skills." John stared at the frozen faces of his fellow humans, test subjects, prisoners. His hand tightened around the bone knife. John moved through the dark maintenance tunnels of Nexus 7, bone knife strapped to his leg. The station hummed around him, vibrations telling him which systems were active. He counted his steps, mapping the route in his mind. "You're late," said a voice from the shadows. John stopped. "Security patrols changed their schedule." A woman stepped forward. Kate Miller, communications officer and one of the few humans on the station. Her face was hard, eyes constantly moving. "We got your message," she said, "about the lab, about our people." 3 more humans emerged from hiding spots. All wore coalition uniforms, all had the same haunted look. "Earth is worse than they're telling us," said Kate. "The coalition plans to sacrifice our planet as a strategic diversion. They call it acceptable losses. John's jaw tightened. Nothing about this is acceptable. We need to move these meetings, said a man named Harris. The aliens are getting suspicious. Not all aliens, came a new voice. Everyone turned, weapons ready. A figure dropped from a vent above. Tall, thin, with mottled gray skin that seemed to shift color. "Krell," John said, lowering his knife. "You followed me." The alien's face rippled, features rearranging. "Your species is interesting. I wanted to learn more." Krell was an outcast even among his own kind. His evolutionary ability to mimic other species made others uncomfortable. "Can we trust it?" asked Harris. "Him," John corrected. "And yes, the Coalition treats his people worse than ours." Krell moved closer. "I have access to security systems, and I've heard things. The generals dismiss human warfare as primitive, but I've studied your history. You survive when you shouldn't." John looked at the small group. "That's exactly what we're going to do. Survive." Over the next weeks, John trained them in secret. Not with advanced weapons, but with human tactics. Improvisation, psychological warfare, using the environment. "Why use the ventilation system when we have phase shifters?" asked Krell during one session. John tapped the metal wall. "Because technology fails. The Vex can disrupt your fancy gadgets, but they can't stop a human with a plan and a weapon." In the official training sessions, Coalition generals watched recordings of Earth battles, laughing at human strategies. "Primitive," said General Dax, a massive, four-armed warrior. "They waste resources on individual soldiers when swarm tactics are clearly superior." John kept his face blank, but his mind recorded every weakness in their thinking. The alarm blared without warning. Red emergency lights flooded the corridors. "Vex attack," shouted a voice over the intercom. "All personnel to battle stations." John ran to the command center. Screens showed Vex ships surrounding Nexus 7. The station's advanced defenses fired but did nothing against the Vex shields. "Impossible," said Director Krell. "They adapted to our frequencies." The station shook as the first Vex boarding parties cut through the hull. Coalition soldiers rushed to defend, but their weapons failed against the new Vex armor. "Fall back," ordered General Dax. "Protect the research levels." John grabbed a communication unit. "Kate, Harris, positions." His small team moved through the chaos using maintenance tunnels and service ducts. They reached a critical junction where station systems connected. The Vex aren't targeting weapons storage, John realized, watching their movement pattern. They're going for the biological samples. Krell's skin shifted nervously. Why would they want those? John remembered the human test subjects. The secret lab. He pulled up station schematics on a nearby terminal. "They're not random samples," he said. "Look at the collection points." The screen showed a pattern. Every sample was from a human colony. Every test subject was from Earth. "The Vex aren't here to destroy the station," John said. "They're here for us. For humans specifically." He accessed a restricted file. What he saw made his blood run cold. "The Coalition and the Vex," he whispered. "They're working together, and humans are the test subjects for something much worse than war." Alarms screamed through Nexus 7 as John led his team through smoke-filled corridors. Emergency lights cast everything in blood-red shadows. The station shuddered from another impact. "We need to get to Hangar 6, John shouted over the noise. "The evidence goes with us." Kate ran beside him, clutching a data core. "The Coalition is ordering full evacuation. They're abandoning the station. And leaving humans behind," Harris added, checking his makeshift weapon. They turned a corner and froze. 3 Vex drones blocked their path. The machines were sleek, deadly, with pulsing lights where eyes should be. "Back," John ordered. Too late. The drones spotted them and attacked. Energy weapons fired, scorching the wall where John's head had been a second before. Krell leaped forward, his body shifting to mimic the metallic texture of the drones. The confusion bought them seconds. John threw an improvised explosive, Station fuel cells rewired to overload. The blast knocked everyone down. When the smoke cleared, the drones were destroyed, but so was their path forward. "New route," John said, pulling up mental maps of the station. Through the research sector. They moved quickly, passing panicked aliens rushing to escape pods. No one stopped to help the humans. "Coalition forces, this is General Dax," came a voice over the station intercom. "Human personnel are now classified as expendable. Repeat, all humans are expendable. Secure primary research and evacuate immediately." Kate's face hardened. "They're making it official now." Through a viewport, they saw the space battle raging around Nexus 7. Coalition ships fired at Vex vessels. The void flashed with weapons fire and exploding ships. "There," John pointed to a sleek black ship docked in a private hangar. "Experimental vessel, Director Krell's personal transport." "It'll be guarded," Harris warned. John nodded. "That's why we're not going through the front." They climbed into a maintenance shaft that ran alongside the hangar. John had memorized these routes during weeks of secret exploration. The shaft ended at a small hatch. John peered through. 4 Coalition guards stood by the ship. "I'll draw them off," Krell said suddenly. "You get to the ship." Before John could argue, Krell changed his appearance to look like a Coalition officer. He slipped out another hatch. Moments later, alarms blared in a different section. The guards ran to investigate. "Now," John ordered. They rushed to the ship. John hacked the entry code while Kate and Harris watched for enemies. The door opened. They piled inside just as weapons fire erupted behind them. Harris took a hit to the leg. John dragged him in as the door sealed. "Get us out of here," John told Kate as he strapped Harris into a seat. Kate took the pilot's chair. Her hands flew over unfamiliar controls. The ship hummed to life. "Hold on," she warned. The ship shot from the hangar into the chaos of battle. Coalition and Vex ships fired all around them. John checked the ship's systems. "This isn't just a transport. It's carrying something." He opened a sealed compartment in the cargo hold. Inside was a container marked with biohazard symbols. Human biohazard symbols. A weapon, John realized, designed specifically for humans. The ship rocked as a Coalition cruiser fired on them. "They're targeting us," Kate shouted. "Why would they shoot at their own ship?" "Because they can't let us escape with this," John said, securing the container. "Set course for Earth. We need to warn them." A massive blast hit their shields. Warning lights flashed across the control panel. Through the viewport, John saw the Coalition flagship moving to block their escape path. "We can't outrun them," Kate said. John's mind raced. Blood dripped from a cut on his forehead. Harris was unconscious. Krell was left behind. "We can't lead them to Earth either," John realized. "They'll follow us right to our home." He pushed Kate aside and grabbed the controls. His fingers found the jump drive coordinates. "What are you doing?" Kate demanded. "Something stupid," John answered. He punched in random coordinates, away from Earth, away from known space. "We might not survive this jump with damaged shields," Kate warned. John thought of Lisa, of her bone knife strapped to his leg, of Earth waiting unaware. "Better to die free than lead them home," he said, and activated the jump drive. The ship vanished in a flash of light as Coalition weapons fired where they had been a second before. John woke to darkness and pain. The ship drifted silently, emergency lights casting weak blue shadows across the command deck. His head throbbed where it had hit the console during the jump. "Kate," he called, voice rough. "Here." She moved from the pilot's seat, face illuminated by the glow of a handheld scanner. "Harris is stable. Ship's another story." John pulled himself up, muscles screaming in protest. Through the viewport, unfamiliar stars glittered against the black. No planets, no ships, nothing but distant light. "Where are we?" he asked. "Nowhere," Kate replied. "Uncharted space. Jump drive is fried. Life support at 40%. John limped to the ship's computer. It still functioned, barely. He accessed the main database while Kate tended to Harris. "The ship's AI is intact," John said, "and it contains something they didn't want us to find." He pulled up file after file: coalition secrets, biological research, weapons development, all focused on one thing: species weaknesses. They cataloged how to kill every known species, Kate whispered, looking over his shoulder, including their own allies. John scrolled through the data until he found the human files. What he saw made him freeze. "They weren't targeting us because we're weak," he said. "They targeted us because we're strong." The files showed test results comparing all species under various conditions. Humans ranked highest in one critical category: adaptability. "We change faster than any other species," John explained. "We evolve, we adjust, we survive. The Coalition and Vex both saw us as the ultimate threat." A weak signal interrupted them, beeping from the communication array. John activated it. "This is Captain Reyes of the Earth Resistance Fleet. Identify yourself." John and Kate exchanged shocked looks. "Earth has a fleet?" Kate whispered. John opened the channel. "Captain Reyes, this is John Mercer, former Earth Defense Force. We've escaped from Nexus 7 with critical intelligence." Silence then. "Mercer, we thought you were dead. What's your location?" John sent their coordinates. "We have proof of Coalition betrayal, and a biological weapon they developed specifically for humans." "Stand by for retrieval," Reyes responded. "And Mercer, Earth is fighting back. We've been gathering forces in secret." The communication ended. John turned to Kate, a plan forming in his mind. "We need to get back to Nexus 7, he said. "That's suicide," Kate argued. John pulled out his bone knife, examining its edge. "The station is now a forward base for their invasion of Earth. We hit them there, we stop the attack before it starts." Hours later, 3 Earth ships appeared, sleek and armed with technology John didn't recognize. "Humans have been busy," he said as they were brought aboard the lead vessel. Captain Reyes was a hard-faced woman with scars similar to John's. "We've had help. Not all aliens agree with the Coalition's plans." She showed them to the bridge. A dozen humans worked alongside several alien species John recognized from border worlds. "We've built this alliance in secret," Reyes explained. "Your evidence confirms what we suspected. Now we can act." John laid out his plan. Use the biological weapon against its creators. Strike Nexus 7. Disable the invasion fleet. "It's risky," Reyes said. "It's human," John replied. 3 days later, John stood on the bridge of a captured Coalition flagship as they approached Nexus 7. Earth ships surrounded them, weapons ready. Commander Vaxtool appeared on the communication screen, 4 eyes widening in shock at seeing John alive. "You knew," John said. "You knew humans were the target all along." Vaxtool's mandibles clicked. "I selected you specifically, Mercer. I needed someone who could see through the deception, someone who could save us all." "What?" John demanded. "The Coalition leadership is compromised," Vaxtool explained. "Many of us have been working against them from within. We needed humans to lead the fight." John looked out at the gathering fleet of Earth ships and their allies. He reached down and pulled his wife's bone knife from his belt. With deliberate movements, he embedded it in the command console of the captured flagship. "For Lisa," he said quietly. Then to the fleet, "All ships, prepare to engage. We're taking back our world." The bone knife stood like a flag of defiance as human ships moved forward to reclaim their future,